Benelli's latest big cubic centimeter naked bike, the new Leoncino 800, arrived to the market and immediately in two versions. One of them is the basic model and the other is the trail version, which is much more like a scrambler motorbike, and we can make our main part of the review about the trail version, and luckily not only on paved roads as well, which is absolutely liked by this bike. If you remember, 2 years ago we already made a review about the Benelli 752S, which was also a naked bike, and from the technical side that bike is absolutely the same, if you check the technical data, as the new Leoncino 800 basic version, not this trail but the basic version. And all in all, the newest thing, of course, not to think about the difference of the trail and the basic Leoncino. So the main technical parts are just the same as in the previous already 2 years old model. The brand new thing which makes the new Leoncino a really much different bike is the design. With the front mudguard, the front rims, especially the trails, this lion, which is we have to say that it's a little bit Chinese and looking a little bit too cheap, but all the other things, the front lamp, this small little spoiler, the very wide handlebar and high lifted handlebar, all the other design elements with the very thick front upside down telescopic forks, the big inline 2 engine, the nice seat, especially the trails, high lifted silencers, and the whole thing, the whole design makes it a really much let's say bigger hit to the market than the 752S was able to. Let's check out the differences between the basic Leoncino 800 and the trail version. The biggest differences are in the front part of the bike, because we have different telescopic forks. The width is the same, but the travel is much shorter in the case of the basic version, because here it is 130 millimeters, while in the trail it's 148 millimeters. And we also have a different front wheel size, because on the basic one we have a 17 and on the trail one we have a 19-inch wheel, and also here we have a spoken wheel, so it's absolutely different. And we also get different tires from Benelli. Both of them are Pirelli, but on the trail version we have a, let's say, little bit more off-road orientated tire. And when we come up a little bit higher than the lamp, the plastic around the lamp is also totally different, because on the trail we have a bigger one. And one more big difference is that the rear section of the bike, because the silencer is absolutely produced in a different way. On the trail we have a high lifted silencer, while on the basic one it is positioned much lower. And on the trail we also have a cover beside the silencer, which is not existing on the basic version. Just that's why here in the basic one we can much better see the preload changing possibility, which is possible without any kind of instrument. Just like in a lot of other Benelli models, in the front we can find two extremely thick Marzocchi upside down telescopic forks, which are working pretty well, and the central suspension unit in the rear is also a good partner of it. It's working pretty well even in a little bit poorer quality asphalt roads, and you can have a lot of fun with them when you are riding the bike on curvy roads. So everything is working absolutely proper. The only problem is maybe that when you are riding really on positive bumps and road mistakes, then it can hit your, especially your back, your bottom, a little bit, I think, too hard. But when you are riding on good quality roads, then it is really a very, very, very good partner, even for curving. The suspension is the same way massive as on the basic version, but here in the trail one, the travels of them a little bit longer. For example, in the front upside down telescopic fork, which is 50 millimeters thick, we have 148 millimeters travel, which is absolutely enough for light off-roads like this, not harder, only like this. The engine from the technical side is absolutely the same as it was in the 725S model 2 years ago. It's a 754 cubic centimeter inline 2, relatively big inline 2 engine, but the power and the torque output is absolutely not overpushed, so it's really, we can say that in the real field it's a weak engine, because the 76 brake horsepower and the 67 Nm torque is in the today's field, even in the Euro 5 era, is not much. In Europe the power output is only this amount, and it seems to be a weak motorbike, but in the real life, when you are sitting on it and riding it, it's not weak. And the key is the music, which is always coming from the silencers. It's really, really beautiful, and while you are sitting on the bike, despite of the wind noise and everything else, when you are pulling the throttle, the music you are hearing from behind you, it always makes you full of adrenaline and makes you to pull the throttle even more and more, and you really feel the bike more dynamic than it is in the real life. So despite of the not too high data, the acceleration and the dynamism of the bike is absolutely enough. I pretty quickly match over the Hungary allowed speeds, so I cannot really show the whole acceleration to you, but anyhow, for public roads, for enjoy riding with a good suspension and well rideable bike, it's absolutely enough, this power. So you can easily be faster than the allowed speeds. And what I also liked in it, that if I reduce the speed, that the RPM counter should go under 2000, and I'm uphill now. Even from here in the highest gear, it without too much chain moving starts and accelerates back to the normal traveling speed. So you do not have to gear down too much if you only want to travel. The whole behavior of the Leoncino 800 you can use very easily when you have road mistakes and they are a little bit too hard, for example, for you. You can very simply, with a quick throttle beep, you can step through the Leoncino 800 on them, because the power, the torque and the whole behavior of the bike, and especially the sound, is absolutely enough for it. You can even enjoy it very, very much. The seat position on the trail is an absolutely typical scrambler one. You have a relatively sporty knee angle, at least with long legs like mine, but the upper body's position is totally comfortable. You have a straight upper body, you can see far away pretty well. The handlebar, which is lifted pretty high, so it's a very, very high lifted handlebar itself. It gives a really good position with light arms and everything else, so the riding and maneuvering the bike is absolutely proper and easy. The only problem what I can maybe mention is that the seat itself, it's a little bit hard. I was riding approximately only 200 kilometers one day, and I have to say that you really have to train your button. we quickly sit on the basic version, then as a difference we can feel nothing, honestly, because the seat position is absolutely the same. The only big difference is that the seat height is much lower. In the case of the basic one, it's 800 millimeters, and because of the longer travel of the suspension and the bigger front wheel, in the case of the trail version, it's over 3 centimeters more, so you will not have any more comfortable place there, but you need a little bit longer legs to reach the tarmac.
Just as it's typical from Benelli, the brake system is always on the top. In the front we have two extremely big 320 millimeter brake discs and 4-piston radial calipers from Brembo, and also the dosability and also the efficiency of it is absolutely enough. Nobody is coming behind me, so I can show it to you. We can really very easily reach the ABS working area even on the front wheel, so the deceleration is just as good, that you really have to keep your body on the fuel tank, not to put any body weight on the handlebars while making an emergency braking. The anti-blocking system cannot be switched off, as the Leoncino 800 is mainly a road bike and not an off-road bike. So when you have to make an emergency braking on unpaved road, then with the working ABS your braking distance is going to be a little bit longer. But the electronical side from the other part is not too strong, because we do not have any kind of traction control, which is an advantage when you want to accelerate a bigger one on unpaved roads. So here the acceleration is much better than if you had a traction control.
Of course, the lighting system is a totally LED system, which is meaning that the indicators, we have an emergency indicator as well, and the main light, I have to start the engine for it, is also LED system. We have DRL, and we also have normal lighting and the headlight, of course. But I think it's a problem that the DRL and the normal light, you have to change always from the right handlebar, and this is not a real problem, but the real problem is that it's not showing with any icon on anything else on the dashboard. So you have to remember that when the button is like this, then it is DRL, and when you push it in, then it is normal light. And when you forget it and it gets dark, then you are going to stay there without real distance lighting, normal light. The switcher on the right handlebar, which is changing between DRL and the normal light, has a brother or sister, I don't know, on the left side. But this is a blind thing, so nothing is happening when you are pushing it. But you have a cable under the fuel tank, and for example, if you put extra lights on the bike, then you just have to use that cable, and then the switching of that light on and off is going to work from this button immediately.
The wide handlebar and the wide mirrors are really good. It's easy to ride the bike and maneuver the bike with it, with the handlebar, and you can see very well from the mirrors. But when you are riding in between the cars like this in narrow places, then you really have to take care not to hit anything with the mirror or the end of the handlebar, or with the clutch or front brake arm.
Let's speak a few words about the market position and the pricing. I can speak only about the Hungarian pricing of the bikes. So these are relatively big cubic centimeter naked and scrambler motorbikes, and especially the scrambler market is not too wide in this cubic centimeter segment. Maybe the only real rival which is in price also relatively close to the Benelli is the Triumph, which makes the Scrambler 900, which is weaker than the Leoncino 800 Trail, and a little bit more expensive in Hungary. Not too much, but relatively, so a little bit more expensive. And what is a big thing, that these Leoncino 800s are not bikes that you make a lot of compromise, that well, it was cheap, but I'm riding this because I had money only for this bike, because they are not too much cheaper than the rivals. But the enjoy what you get from them and the pleasure and everything else, because the trail is really a man's bike, I can say. It's a pleasure to pull the throttle, to ride it on a little bit dirty roads and things like this. So all in all, you do not make, I think, any real or big compromise for a little bit money what you can save. So if you buy this one, I think you are going to love it. If you liked the two Benelli Leoncino 800s and if you like the review, then please push a thumb up on it. If you can do it, you can donate our work. You can find the link under the review in the description. Please subscribe for our channel if you haven't done it yet and watch our previous contents, and thanks a lot for your kind attention.